Welcome to the Company of Salt and Iron orientation video. You must watch this video in its entirety before making a character and diving into a session of the Trophy Gold Company of Salt and Iron campaign. My name is Jason, and I'm the GM for this campaign. Before I begin, I do want to note that most of the things I'm going to cover in this video can also be found in the document linked in the notes. I'm going to start with CATS. CATS is an acronym that stands for Concept, Aim, Tone, and Subject Matter. I like to do CATS in order to establish some basic expectations for what we're going to be doing in the campaign. And so we'll start with concept. Trophy Gold, the game, is a game about desperate treasure hunters going into the lost and forgotten places of the world in order to find treasure so that they can pay for a very expensive drive they each have. Trophy Gold is a dungeon crawling game, but it's also a story game and has mechanics that focus on collaborative storytelling. You don't need to have any experience with Trophy Gold to start playing in this campaign. The game is very easy to learn, but it certainly can't hurt. I'm going to actually cover some high-level Trophy Gold concepts near the end of the video as well. The Company of Salt and Iron campaign is a West Marches style campaign using Trophy Gold. These characters are members of a mercenary slash adventuring company that has its own company-wide drive, and while the characters are trying to earn money to satisfy their individual drives, they'll also be contributing to the company drive. This campaign is exclusively for folks who support the Gauntlet on Patreon at the $2 or higher level. The idea is I will announce 1 hour in advance in a special Patreon-only Discord channel when a new delve is going to take place. And anyone who's available to play at that time can jump onto the Zoom call, do some dungeon crawling, get some treasure to help satisfy their drive. Okay, the aim. The aim of each treasure hunter is to find treasure, period. The aim of us as players is to have a good time, to see what kinds of stories develop in the campaign, and to get some playtime in a format that requires less of a commitment than a normal campaign. I have another aim as well of completing some old school and OSR modules that I can then cover on my podcast, Fear of a Black Dragon. Tone. Generally speaking, the tone of this campaign will be pretty dark, fully embracing both the play to win and play to lose ethos of Trophy Gold. When a delve is taking place, we're going to be laser focused on the actual dungeon crawling, in particular the tension of it and the fear of it, the danger of it. Subject matter. I can't say with any precision the exact sorts of subject matter to expect from delve to delve. It's always going to be changing. But you should expect subject matter that conforms to a dark, horror-focused dungeon crawl environment. We'll be using the X card as a safety tool. If you're in a delve and something happens in the game that is triggering or simply doesn't conform to your idea of a good time, you can say X card or type it in the chat. I'll pause play long enough to determine what needs to be changed, and then we'll just continue playing. I might ask what specifically is being X carded, but I won't ask why. We'll also have the open door policy available. If you need to leave a delve or the campaign, you can do so, no explanation needed. We will not be using lines and veils, which I only mention because if you're accustomed to my games, you know that's something I normally use, but we will not be using lines and veils in this campaign. Now I want to talk about instructions for making your character. The first thing you're going to do is go find the Character Keeper, which is linked in that special patron-only Discord channel on the Gauntlet Discord. You're going to go to the Treasure Hunter tab and start making your character by following the prompts in the yellow boxes. There are some special character creation rules for the Company of Salt and Iron. First, you can't duplicate name, drive, and rituals between characters, so check what's already there to make sure you're not doing that. For every other aspect of the character, try not to duplicate too much, but it's okay if you have to or you want to. In particular, if you want to duplicate occupation, background, or equipment, or you have to, that's fine. But name, drive, and rituals have to be unique. You start with exactly 2 weapons and 2 pieces of armor. Your starting burdens is 0. You can have 0, 1, 2, or 3 rituals, and starting ruin is the same as it normally is. You start with 3 pieces of equipment and 3 open equipment slots, as normal. Let's talk about joining a delve. So you've got your character made. An hour before the delve, I will announce it on the Salt and Iron channel. The announcement will include the time the delve is expected to end, but please give us like an extra 15 to 20 minutes of stretch time there in case we need it. And I'll also say how many burdens it will cost to join the delve. 5 minutes before the start, I'll post a Zoom link, and then the first 4 players to join the call are on the delve. A few notes about delve gameplay. The purpose of the delve is to explore dungeons for the purpose of finding treasure. Your characters can and should interact in whatever way makes sense for the scene, but extensive character development will happen off-call on the Discord channel. While we're in the delve, while we're on the Zoom call, the focus is on the dungeon crawl. You can leave the delve and return to camp at any time, so long as you have money or treasure equal to your burdens in gold. Everyone must leave and return to camp at the end of the delve. Any character who returns to camp without enough gold to meet burdens is retired from the game and must write a shameful and ignominious end to their character in the company book. More on that later. Any character who reaches 6 ruin while on the delve is mad or dead. I may allow the spending of 3 hunt tokens to spare the character's life or to allow them to continue in the game if it makes sense in the established fiction. But in general, you should expect that if you hit 6 ruin, you're out of there. Players of treasure hunters that are killed or go mad are immediately ejected from the Zoom call. Their treasure hunters' equipment can be looted by surviving treasure hunters on the delve. Such players can make another character for a future delve. An important note about rituals, and I really want to stress this. In Salt and Iron, rituals are rituals, not spells. That means your character must have plenty of time and space to perform the ritual. Rituals can be performed in advance of combat, but not in the middle of it. Rituals can be performed under duress, but only if the other treasure hunters are creating a wall between that duress and the treasure hunter performing the ritual. There are a few rituals that are exceptions to these general guidelines, but not many. Most rituals take time and concentration. One last gameplay note: hunt tokens can be saved for future delves. Now I'm going to talk about record keeping. Armor reset. 2 points of armor can be reset at camp by spending 1 gold. This is separate from the gold you must spend for burdens. Every point beyond that is 1 gold each. Armor never adds to your burdens, but you can never have more than 4 pieces of it. Spending gold and the company book. You can spend gold back at camp in the manner listed on pages 20 to 21 of the Trophy Gold Rulebook, except for carousing. More on that in a moment. Any gold you spend in this manner must be tracked in the company book below an entry with your name, including what you spent the gold on and any other notes you wish to include. Players are responsible for creating and maintaining the company book. The company book can be used to track any information players think would be relevant to other treasure hunters or that they want to preserve for posterity. Please note that Hearthfire is not used in Salt and Iron. I mentioned carousing is handled a little differently. Carousing, if you spend a gold on carousing back at camp, you get all 3 of the following. You identify the weakness of all creatures in the bestiary that you have personally encountered. A rumor connected to a future delve supplied by myself. I will reveal that rumor next to your company book entry for that gold spend. A portion of the map for a future delve. I will post an image of the map next to your company book entry for that gold spend. If a treasure hunter ever dies on a delve but does not retire because they failed to meet burdens, their hoard is distributed evenly between the company and all remaining treasure hunters. All gold must be spent before you can join another delve. The Bestiary. The Bestiary is tracked on the Character Keeper under the Bestiary tab. Players are responsible for naming every creature a treasure hunter encounters. Weaknesses can be discovered in play or using the carousing procedure I noted earlier. The Vault. Weapons and magic items discovered on the delve can be kept after a delve, increasing your burdens 1 for 1, or can be given over to the company vault. Non-magical weapons earn the contributing player a single voucher. More on vouchers in a moment. Magical weapons and magic items earn the contributing player 3 vouchers. The vault is tracked in the company book. Before a delve, a treasure hunter can take a single weapon or item from the vault at no cost, but must return it after the delve. Vouchers. A voucher can be spent to ignore burdens for a single delve, no matter the number of burdens, and to unmark 2 slots of armor after the delve. You get both effects for 1 voucher. You must spend the voucher at the beginning of the delve. Now let's talk about campaign events. I earlier mentioned that the company has its own drive, and that's what this is connected to. There is always an active company campaign event with a number of gold that must be stashed for it to occur. All gold collected for burdens goes toward triggering the company campaign event. When enough gold is collected, a company campaign event will begin. The campaign event will involve multiple highly lethal delves. At the conclusion of the campaign event, every treasure hunter gets a gold reward for their hoard. Campaign events are also connected to individual treasure hunters' drives. When a treasure hunter collects enough gold to satisfy their personal drive, this also triggers a campaign event. Now I want to talk about just a few core gameplay concepts in Trophy Gold, things that I think are important for you to know before you start playing. And even if you are familiar with Trophy Gold, they are things that I think are good to be reminded of. Burdens and gold. I've mentioned burdens and gold a few times already in this video. Every character is going to have a burden score that gets assigned to them when they join a delve. It will often be 1 or 2 burdens normally, depending on the length of the delve. You must collect enough treasure in order to satisfy burdens. Treasure is measured in gold, capital G gold. So a treasure might be worth, a sort of a rare dagger or something, or a jeweled scepter might be worth 1 gold or 2 gold or whatever. You might find a sack of silver that's worth 1 gold, right? The idea is it's an abstraction of money, essentially. You must have a number of gold equal to your burdens before you leave the delve. The next concept I want to talk about is the collaborative nature of the game and devil's bargains. Many times in Trophy Gold, you will be asked to contribute your thoughts about the game world, about the dungeon, about the environment, about the story, about what could happen right now if a character fails at an action. Lots of opportunities for you to give your opinions about what could happen. And there are certain things that are definitely going to happen if you offer it and it gets accepted. In particular, I'm talking about the devil's bargain. So often your character will be doing what's called a risk roll. A risk roll is rolled whenever you do anything that is risky, essentially. Part of the risk roll is offering and accepting devil's bargains. So let's say a character is trying to jump across a gap, okay? And they gather their dice for the risk roll, and they ask for devil's bargains. And someone says, well, no matter what, if you accept this devil's bargain, no matter what, you're going to drop your sword down the gap. Now, this is really interesting because what it means is if the person takes that devil's bargain, no matter what happens, whether they jump across the gap or not successfully, their sword is going down into the gap. If they're successful on the roll, it's because their sword slipped out of their hand or whatever and fell down the gap. If they fail at the roll, it's because they themselves fell down into the gap, right? But you can also do things that are more narratively interesting than you drop your sword. Sometimes you drop your sword is okay, and the easiest thing is sometimes good. But maybe you want to do something more interesting. No matter what, on the other side of the gap is your lover who you thought was dead. Now that's interesting, right? And I noted earlier that I want the focus of this campaign when we're doing the delves to be the dungeon crawl, but the Devil's Bargains introduce the opportunity to insert interesting story things that maybe the dungeon crawl did not anticipate, right? So your presumed dead lover being on the other side of the gap, that's really interesting and has an effect on what happens in the rest of the story. And it's maybe not even directly connected to the dungeon crawl. But that's what Devil's Bargains are. And that's what makes the game fun. The last thing I want to talk about are hunt tokens. Your characters will be collecting a meta currency called hunt tokens. These hunt tokens are a form of, I like to call them narrative power gaming. So you will sometimes have a goal to meet in the game. We call them set goals. So maybe the set goal is to navigate this portion of the dungeon, or find this treasure, or defeat this monster, right? You can do all those things just in the normal gameplay because you accomplish them, or you can spend your hunt tokens. So maybe you decide as a group, we would like to satisfy this set goal of getting past this monster by just spending hunt tokens. And so you collect 3 hunt tokens, you spend them, and then you narrate how you managed to get past the monster, right? You can also spend 3 hunt tokens to accomplish any goal in the game that the GM agrees to. So I mentioned earlier that maybe your character hits 6 ruin. Well, maybe someone else says, hey, if we spend 3 hunt tokens, can we stabilize them so they don't die? And I might agree to that, or I might not, depending on the circumstances. But that is another way to use hunt tokens. It's just, you can spend 3 of them as a group to do something big in the story. You can also spend hunt tokens to find those all-important treasures. When you spend 1 hunt token, generally speaking, you will get a treasure. You will find a treasure worth 1 gold. So that's all I wanted to cover in this orientation video. You are now ready to go find the character keeper, make your character, and wait for me to post a delve. Happy treasure hunting.